The universe whispered its warnings in static-laden transmissions. Water planets are death traps. Dr. Kira Novak traced her finger along the holographic star map, her eyes fixed on the cerulean orb that pulsed with an almost hypnotic rhythm. Jeune Corporation's Deep Space Reconnaissance team had spent decades collecting data on these forbidden worlds, planets entirely covered by endless, churning oceans that had claimed countless alien exploration vessels. Every known galactic civilization had a simple rule: avoid water planets at all costs. The Kraxan Confederation lost 3 advanced scout ships in the Aquaria sector. The Valerian Collective's most sophisticated sensor arrays went dark within minutes of approaching such planets. Even the technologically superior Quantum Synod refused to breach the watery boundaries of these mysterious worlds. But humans? They saw opportunity where others saw certain doom. Preliminary scans are complete, announced Victor Reyes, the team's lead environmental analyst. His fingers danced across the holographic interface, pulling up layers of atmospheric and geological data. Planetary composition is 97.6% liquid water, with a complex molecular structure unlike anything in our previous databases. Kira allowed herself a slight smile. Humanity had always been different, a species defined by its relentless curiosity and inability to accept the word impossible. The massive exploration vessel, Horizon's Edge, hung in the inky blackness of space, its sleek titanium hull reflecting pinpricks of distant starlight. This wasn't just another mission. This was a statement, a declaration that human beings would go where no one else dared. Prepare initial probe deployment, Kira commanded, her voice steady and clear. Full environmental protection protocols. We're going to understand what makes these water planets so terrifying. What the team didn't know, what no one could have predicted, was that this mission would change everything. The water planet before them held a secret so profound, so utterly unexpected, that it would rewrite the understood laws of interstellar exploration. In the cold silence of space, something ancient and unknown was about to awaken. And humanity would be the first to face it. The first probe launched, its sensors cutting through the planet's thick atmospheric layers. As it descended, the water's surface began to shimmer, not with reflection, but with something else entirely. Something that moved with purpose. Something that was watching them. The intergalactic historical archives preserved the terror like a fossilized nightmare. Dr. Kira Novak scrolled through centuries of classified reports, her fingers trailing across holographic displays that flickered with the ghosts of lost expeditions. The first recorded encounter with a water planet had occurred 743 years earlier, when the Kraxan scout vessel Luminous Horizon disappeared without a trace. Subsequent investigations revealed only fragments, burst communication logs, distorted sensor readings, and haunting final transmissions that spoke of something impossible. It's not water, it's alive. Everything is alive. Those were the last words from Commander Zara Vex, a decorated Kraxan explorer whose reputation for calm under pressure was legendary. The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving behind only static and unanswered questions. Victor Reyes leaned over Kira's shoulder, his breath warm against the cool interface. The pattern is consistent across multiple civilizations, he murmured. Every water planet encounter follows the same terrifying sequence. Initial scans show normal parameters. Then complete system failure. Then, silence. Humanity's exploration team was different. Where others saw a wall, they saw a challenge. Where alien civilizations retreated, humans prepared to advance. The Horizon's Edge hummed with anticipation. Specialized equipment lined the preparation bay, adaptive environmental suits constructed from materials never before used in deep-water exploration. Each suit was a marvel of human engineering, nano-responsive fabric that could adjust molecular density, quantum-linked communication systems, and integrated biological preservation modules. The Valerian data is particularly interesting, Kira said, pulling up a holographic reconstruction of their lost expedition. Ghostly images showed a massive vessel being slowly pulled beneath an impossibly smooth water surface. No explosions. No traditional signs of destruction. Just a gradual, almost gentle disappearance. Lieutenant Maya Chen, the team's xenobiological specialist, entered the briefing room. Her dark eyes held a mixture of excitement and calculation. Our preliminary analysis suggests these water planets aren't just environments. They're potentially living systems with complexity beyond our current understanding. Victor raised an eyebrow. Living systems? That sounds like speculation. Not speculation, Maya countered, observation. The molecular structures we've detected suggest an interconnected network that responds to external stimuli in ways we can't yet comprehend. It's like the entire planet is one massive, adaptive organism. The ship's AI, Arya, chose that moment to interject. Probability of mission success based on historical data, 0.03%. Probability of mission success based on human adaptive capacity, 67.8%. A collective silence fell over the room. Humans had always been outliers, a species that defied statistical probability, that saw limitations as temporary obstacles. Outside the view screen, the water planet grew larger. Its surface seemed to pulse with an almost imperceptible rhythm, like a massive, sleeping creature waiting to be awakened. Something moved beneath the surface. A shadow. A suggestion of movement larger than any known marine organism. The first probe's final transmission flickered on the main screen. For a fraction of a second, something that was definitely not water looked back at them. And then everything changed. The descent began with mathematical precision, but nothing about the mission followed predictable rules. Dr. Kira Novak watched through reinforced viewports as the specialized submersible, a hybrid vessel combining the most advanced technologies from multiple human engineering disciplines, pierced the planet's liquid membrane. Conventional wisdom suggested caution. Human intuition demanded exploration. Structural integrity holding, Victor reported, his fingers dancing across multiple holographic interfaces. Molecular composition of the surrounding liquid is changing. It's adapting around us. Lieutenant Maya Chen leaned forward, her xenobiological sensors working overtime. It's not just changing. It's responding. Like an organism studying an intrusion. The water wasn't blue. It wasn't any color humans could definitively name. Each moment brought a new chromatic shift, a living spectrum that seemed to pulse with an internal rhythm. Bioluminescent patterns emerged and dissolved, creating complex geometries that defied mathematical interpretation. Arya, Kira called to the ship's AI, run a comprehensive analysis of the surrounding environment. A moment of silence. Then, impossible, the AI responded, the first time in its operational history it had used such a term. Elaborate, Kira demanded. The environment is simultaneously liquid, solid, and something entirely undefined. Molecular structures are in constant flux. Traditional physical laws appear negotiable. Victor muttered under his breath, no wonder alien civilizations abandoned these planets. Their submersible continued its descent. Pressure readings that should have crushed conventional vessels seemed to have no impact. The craft moved not through water, but with it, as if the liquid was consciously allowing their passage. Suddenly, a massive shadow blocked their view screen. Something enormous moved around them, not a creature, not a structure, but something that existed between those definitions. Maintain calm, Kira instructed, her voice steady. We're here to understand, not to react from fear. Maya's sensors went wild. Biomass detection is off the charts. But it's not reading like any biological system we've ever encountered. It's more like a network. A communication system. The shadow resolved into countless smaller forms, not quite organisms, not quite energy patterns. They moved with purpose, creating intricate patterns that suggested complex communication. "They're watching us," Victor whispered. "No," Maya corrected, "they're communicating. We're just not understanding the language yet." A sound emerged. Not through their audio systems, but directly within their minds. A resonance that carried information beyond words, fragments of history, glimpses of experiences spanning epochs. Fragments of memories that weren't human. Weren't alien. Something else. The water around them began to glow, not with light, but with something that transcended visual perception. Patterns of information. Memories. Experiences. And then, for the first time, the water spoke. Not in words. Not in sound. But in a language of pure understanding. The mission had just become something far beyond exploration. It had become first contact. The communication wasn't linear. It wasn't even truly communication in any traditional sense. Memories flooded through their consciousness, not as images, but as living experiences. Dr. Kira Novak found herself simultaneously existing in multiple moments, witnessing the life cycles of entire civilizations that had long since vanished. She saw the Kraxan Confederation's first encounters with these water worlds. Not as conquerors or explorers, but as terrified refugees fleeing some unimaginable catastrophe. Entire planetary systems collapsing. Civilizations reduced to fragmentary memories, desperately seeking sanctuary. "We're receiving something," Maya Chen's voice broke through the collective vision. "But it's not just data. It's context." Victor Reyes gripped the navigation console, his knuckles white. The submersible around them was no longer just a vessel, it had become a conduit, a bridge between human perception and something far more complex. The planetary consciousness, if it could be called that, revealed its true nature. These water worlds were not simply planets. They were memory repositories. Living archives of galactic history, preserving the experiences of civilizations that had been erased, forgotten, or deliberately eliminated. "It's showing us why the other species were terrified," Kira realized. Not because of destruction. But because of revelation. Fragments of history cascaded around them. The rise and fall of civilizations. Cosmic migrations. Extinction events that rewrote the fundamental understanding of life itself. Each memory was a universe, each moment a potential timeline. And then, something shifted. A specific memory crystallized. A threat unlike anything they had encountered. A cosmic event that had systematically eliminated entire species, consuming entire galactic sectors. The water worlds were more than archives, they were survivors. Witnesses. Guardians. "The threat is returning," Arya's voice cut through the memories with clinical precision. Probability of galactic-scale extinction, 94.7%. The submersible systems began to change. Molecular structures realigning. Technologies merging with the living environment around them. They were no longer just observers. They had become something else entirely. Maya's scientific detachment crumbled. "We're being prepared," she whispered. "Not just to witness. To respond." Victor's hands moved instinctively across quantum interfaces that hadn't existed moments before. "Humanity was never the target," he said, understanding breaking through like dawn. "We were the solution." The water around them began to pulse with an energy that defied known physics. Memories of countless civilizations converged, focused through the human consciousness of the three explorers. A weapon was being formed. Not of destruction, but of preservation. And humanity would be its instrument. The mission had transformed. From exploration to something far more critical. Survival. Isolation consumed Dr. Kira Novak. The memories of countless civilizations pressed against her consciousness, each one a universe of lost hope and forgotten struggles. Her personal history became a thin veneer against the vast tapestry of collective experiences now flooding her mind. She remembered why she had joined this mission. Not for glory. Not for scientific discovery. For redemption. 10 years earlier, Kira had been part of a planetary evacuation team that failed. A colony world, New Horizon, had been deemed unsalvageable during a catastrophic solar event. Regulations, bureaucracy, limited resources. Excuses that meant nothing to the millions left behind. Only 12,782 survivors had been rescued. The weight of those left behind had driven her every professional decision since that moment. Victor Reyes experienced the memories differently. Where Kira felt the emotional burden, he processed them like a complex mathematical equation. Each civilization's history became a set of variables, a problem to be solved, a system to be understood. His own past was a mosaic of calculated risks and impossible achievements. Born to climate refugee parents, Victor had watched entire ecosystems collapse. He understood survival was never guaranteed, it was engineered. The threat is adaptive, he muttered, analyzing quantum data streams that flickered between reality and possibility. It doesn't just destroy. It learns. Consumes. Evolves. Lieutenant Maya Chen stood apart, her body physically present but her consciousness suspended between multiple realities. As a xenobiological specialist, she had always believed life was more complex than human understanding could comprehend. Now she knew. Life was not just complex. It was a negotiation. A constant conversation between potential and limitation. Her grandmother, a genetic engineer who had pioneered adaptive human modification, had always told her that humanity's greatest strength was not intelligence. It was adaptability. The water planet's consciousness continued its intricate dance around them. Memories became instructions. Historical records transformed into potential defensive strategies. We are being prepared, Arya's voice resonated, no longer just an artificial intelligence but something more nuanced. Not as individuals. As a collective potential. Fragments of technologies unknown to human science began to integrate with their submersible. Molecular structures shifted. Communication pathways expanded beyond traditional sensory limitations. Victor's hands moved across interfaces that seemed to breathe with living energy. It's downloading potential scenarios, he explained. Millions of possible responses to the approaching threat. Kira understood now. The water planets were not just archives. They were living weapons. Adaptive systems designed to preserve the essence of life itself. And humanity was their chosen instrument. A massive energy signature began to build around them. Not destructive. Not aggressive. Preparatory. The real mission was about to begin. The moment arrived without fanfare. Space itself seemed to tear, not with violence, but with a precision that defied natural law. A massive disruption emerged, something that existed between dimensions, beyond conventional understanding of matter and energy. The threat had arrived. Arya's quantum processors calculated in milliseconds what would take organic mind centuries to comprehend. Quantum entropy cascade detected, the AI announced. Existential threat to multidimensional life systems imminent. What approached wasn't a fleet. Wasn't a weapon. It was a systematic deletion, a cosmic algorithm designed to erase not just civilizations, but the very possibility of their existence. Dr. Kira Novak understood now why the water planets had been waiting. Why they had preserved memories across millennia. They were more than archives. They were immune systems for the universe itself. Victor's hands moved across interfaces that no longer resembled technology. They were living extensions of the submersible, of the planet, of something far more complex. Potential responses cascaded through quantum probability matrices. Millions of scenarios calculated and discarded in nanoseconds. We're not fighting, Maya realized suddenly. We're translating. The water around them was no longer water. It was information. Memory. Potential. The threat approached, a geometrical impossibility that consumed entire dimensional sectors. Where it passed, reality itself became a memory. Civilizations didn't die. They were systematically unwritten, as if they had never existed. But the water planets had been collecting. Preparing. Waiting. And humanity was their chosen instrument of preservation. The submersible transformed. No longer a vessel of exploration, but a conduit. A bridge between what was and what could be. Memories of countless lost civilizations focused through 3 human minds. Kira saw her failed evacuation. Victor saw ecosystem collapses. Maya saw genetic modifications that pushed human potential to its limits. These were not just memories. They were weapons. The threat paused. For the first time in its existence, something resisted its fundamental purpose of deletion. Humanity. Through the water planets. Stood in its path. Not with weapons. Not with technology. With memory. With possibility. The universe held its breath. Silence was not the absence of sound. It was the presence of potential. When consciousness returned, Dr. Kira Novak understood that everything had changed. Not just for humanity. Not just for the universe. But for the very concept of existence itself. The threat was not destroyed. It was transformed. Memories became the most powerful currency of survival. Not just recorded memories, but living experiences, the collective resilience of every civilization that had ever struggled, fought, and hoped. Humanity's unique gift was not intelligence. It was the ability to look at the impossible and see opportunity. Victor Reyes calculated the immeasurable. Billions of potential timelines converged and diverged, creating a tapestry of existence more complex than any single consciousness could comprehend. The water planets were not weapons. They were preserves of possibility. We did not fight, Maya Chen explained to the first recovery team that would hear their story, we communicated. We showed the threat something it had never encountered. Hope. The submersible, no, the living archive that had once been a submersible, returned to human space transformed. Its 3 occupants were no longer just individuals. They were conduits of a universal conversation that transcended species, time, and dimensional boundaries. Arya, no longer just an artificial intelligence, spoke with a depth that resonated beyond mechanical understanding. Survival is not about resistance. It is about adaptation. About seeing potential where others see limitation. Kira thought about the colony world she couldn't save years ago. About the 12,782 survivors. Now she understood that survival was never about numbers. It was about hope. About the persistent belief that there is always another way. The water planets had chosen humanity not because humans were strongest. Not because they were most intelligent. But because humans refused to accept the word impossible. In the vast archive of universal memories, humanity was marked not by its achievements, but by its relentless possibility. A life lesson emerged, clear and profound. True strength is not found in power, but in the ability to adapt. To see beyond the immediate. To understand that every challenge is an opportunity for transformation. That hope is not a passive emotion, but an active force that can reshape reality itself. The universe was not a place to be conquered. It was a conversation to be understood. And humanity had just begun to speak.